Hello, welcome to part 2 of solving ModelOff data analysis problem using Excel pivot tables. Question number 5 asks us how many invoices Sally created over the analysis period. This is a rather tricky question since I personally am not aware of any way to perform a unique count in pivot tables, so we probably have to come up with a workaround. Let's create a helper column, call it unique invoice column, and let's use the following formula to populate the values. If count if absolute reference for B2 through mixed reference B2, comma, mixed reference B2 equals 1, comma 1, comma 0. Copy it down and notice that going to that invoice number 10, the first occurrence of that invoice number returns the value of 1, but all of the other occurrences return value of 0. So let's examine the formula a little bit closer. If count of occurrences of this invoice number within the range of B2 through B12 equals to 1, let's return value of 1. So that means the very first time we see an invoice in the range specified, we'll assign the value of 1. But all of the consecutive occurrences of the same invoice number are going to be assigned value of 0. So let's go back to our pivot table. Let's refresh it. We can see that the unique invoice column appeared, and let's do our count of invoices for salesperson Sally. So filter on salesperson for Sally. Let's change the field name to invoice count. And the answer is 650 or D. Question number 6 asks, during the month of May, which postal code bought the most of item 5 by quantity? If we look at our source data, we remember that unfortunately we don't have a months column, but we do have the listing of dates. So in pivot table, we can group our dates by months. So selecting the date field, we can just right mouse click on that field, select group, and specify months as our criterion. So now instead of seeing the list of dates, we can actually see them grouped by months. Let's move this date field into the filter section. Let's specify the month of May. Let's select another filter for item code 5. Let's put the postal code field into the rows section and the quantity field into the values section. If we resort this list in descending order, we can determine that postal code 3029 sold the highest number of units for item code 5. But alternatively, what we can also do, we can filter our results using the top 10 feature to show one listing for the postal code instead of all of the other codes being present as well. So let's do that by going to the postal code field, selecting the filter, going to the value filters, top 10, so change 10 to 1, click OK, and our answer is C. Question number 7 asks us how many postal codes bought more than 400 products by quantity in the month of February. So let's specify the month of February in the filters section. The month of February. Let's change the day to months. And let's put the postal code field into the rows section and quantity into the values section. Now we can simply use the filter under the postal code to filter by quantity or number of units sold. So when we go to the filter for the postal code, we can go to the value filters. Is greater than 400. Click OK. And we see all of the postal codes that sold more than 400 units in the month of February. If we select this list, we can see that there are 5 of them. So the answer is C again. Question number 8 asks us, over the entire dataset, which 3 items did postcode 3020 spend the greatest dollars on? Looking at the dataset again, we know that unfortunately we do not have the total cost field, so we need to populate that column. Let's create a new column. Let's call it cost. And the formula for that is cost per unit times quantity or number of units sold. And we'll copy it down. Going back to the pivot table, if we refresh our pivot table, we should be able to see this cost column being added. Now, in the previous examples, we were using the filters section to filter our pivot table, but let's change that. Let's use the slicer functionality that was introduced in Excel 2010. So if you're using 2007, you will not have that functionality, unfortunately. You can still use the filters. But if you are using 2010 or 2013, what you could do is you can go to the Insert menu. You can select the Slicer. And under Slicer, we're going to choose the postal code field. And we're gonna filter by the postal code value of 3020. Next is we're going to select our item code, put it into the rows section, calculate the cost, so let's change the name from postal code to item code. Let's change the sum of cost to cost. And since we're only interested in top 3 most expensive dollars in terms of cost, let's go to the filters for item code, the drop down. Let's go to the value filters, select top 10, change 10 to 3. Click OK, and the answer is the items 6, 9, 46 are the ones that we spent the most our dollars on. So let's select answer A. Question number 9. What is the rank of salespersons from highest to lowest based on the number of invoices written during the month of May? Since we already created the unique invoice flag in question number 5, this question should be fairly easy to answer. Let's create a slicer for our months. So insert slicer for the months. Let's select May. Then let's add the salesperson field to our pivot table. Let's also add the invoice count, which is the number of unique invoices. So that's salesperson and invoice count. Let's resort this ranking in descending order. And now we know that the answer to this question is C. Stay tuned for our upcoming videos and keep in touch on social media.